What's up? What's up? What's up?
We're back on the Me and Jesse podcast. Had a little bit of a layoff, but we're back now, and we're fired up tonight. We're fired up for the show.
Yes, we are. Big
we're
Daddy.
fired up because
yes,
Smilin Sam Alvey's back, and not only back here on the show, he's back in the UFC.
Still in the UFC. It's mind-boggling. It really is. If you think about it long enough, I love Sam, and I'm the one that got him in the UFC. So that's a shameless plug on my end. Me and Ken Franchuk, who have the firm sports management, we got him in the UFC, and he's still in the UFC after a dismal 0-7-1 record.
But it's Smilin Sam. People like the Smilin Sam.
That's it. That's what it is. Can that be it? We're going to find out.
We're going to find out tonight on the Me and Jesse podcast. But first, Mark Pavlich just hiked the equivalent distance of going up Mount Everest.
Tell him, Jesse.
In Edmonton, Alberta.
Tell him.
And he posted some grotesque images of his feet that evening on social media.
That's a polite way to say it.
Yeah, Jesse. It was nice. Yeah. So it was a good way of saying it. But it's pretty mind-blowing. Mark, tell us about the journey of Everest and Edmonton this year.
Well, it was 44.5 kilometers. It was cold out, but it was actually warm compared to the year prior. And then on top of it, we crushed the previous time. This time was 6 hours and 44 minutes to hike 44.5 kilometers. Lots of uphill stuff too as well. And then we raised over $17,210 for myeloma cancer, Myeloma Canada.
Wow.
And I'm addicted. You know how much you love fishing?
Yes.
That's how much I love hiking.
Well, that's
amazing. So you get where I'm coming from now, right? And it's like in a million years, I didn't think I would be addicted to it.
I get where you're coming from.
Yes.
I don't get what you're saying.
Me neither. Me neither. I don't want to psychoanalyze it anymore because it's so bizarre. Because even I took a week off and I didn't feel very good because of that. And then even my feet are starting to still heal up. And I just taped them up today and I went hiking for 10 kilometers. And 10 kilometers literally felt like walking to the corner. You know what I'm saying? So that's bizarre for me. Like, that's the world I live in now. And I don't see myself never not doing it. And I'm working on Everest in Iceland in October.
In where?
Iceland. And Jesse, you're coming.
I'm in.
Yes.
I might not do the walk.
No, you're not going to do the walk. But
I'll be in the car. I'll be in the follow car.
You're gonna fly the drone around.
Yes.
You're gonna smoke big fat cigars in Iceland. Bro. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go there and turn it upside down.
Some good fishing there in Iceland too.
Oh, can you imagine? Oh my God.
Oh, that would be epic. Well, we say let's get the president of Iceland. The president of Iceland needs to get on this.
And Icelandic Air. We're working on both of them
Perfect.
right now.
They fly direct out of Edmonton right to Iceland.
Direct, and we're going to have, I told them I need 10 flights, 10 hotel rooms, and you guys pick the charity, and I'll make sure we'll raise a ton of dough in Iceland for whatever charity they want.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of maneuvering it as we speak.
Well, that's awesome because I've always loved Iceland, and Iceland's amazing, and it would be iconic to do that. Like, it would be iconic.
I love that word, Jesse.
Me too. I like it too.
Because I'm searching for something. Like, sure, I did all these cool things in my lifetime, but this is the one I want to put the stamp on my final chapter. I want to say
your final chapter. Come on.
I mean,
I got lots of time left.
I mean, lots of time left, but I got to raise a lot of money, right?
Yes,
so, I'm at 30,000 right now, but my goal is much larger, much larger.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, right?
Yeah. So it's the start of this next thing.
Yes, and I'm like totally addicted to it, and I just love doing it. And I there's very few people that can hike distances of my mindset, and I finally found some obsession that I could do solely, that I can prove that my mindset has always excelled in doing things of these kind of weird dimensions.
That's cool.
Yes.
I actually hung out with Laval St. Germain's brother on Saturday night.
What was that like?
That was great. I asked him if he'd done anything cool like climbing Mount Everest, and he said no.
No.
I hope he's watching right now.
That's so funny, when you think about it. Yeah, it's his brother, right? His brother's
his brother. Yeah.
Yeah, his brother's the maniac.
No, we had a really great conversation. We talked about that scenario and stuff too. And his perspective, which is interesting too, from a family member, like, hey man, there's a pretty high chance your brother's gonna die on this mountain.
I totally agree.
And
I
you
love-
like
I-
the
I love
feelings you
about-
go through in that time. It's serious. Like, it's not a joke.
Yeah.
But Everest and Edmonton, and hopefully next year in Iceland or Everest and Iceland.
This year, October.
Oh, October.
October, yes.
Oh,
and then
interesting.
And then February 25th, 2023 is the next Everest in Edmonton.
Okay.
So I have a kind of a vision with this thing, so it can go to Edmonton, Vancouver, and Iceland. Those are my 3 places.
All in 1 year.
All in 1 year, and then I'll do those 3 a year, and I'll just train in between, and that'll be enough for me.
I would love to
54
see
years old.
Everest in Istanbul.
Oh wow! Now you're getting my brain moving in all kinds of directions, man. But I got to stay focused just on this right now.
Yes,
and
I
then
know.
as
I
I go,
I'll think of the future stuff, and you just get on this stuff here.
Yeah.
I'll start thinking. I'll start thinking about the advertising for Istanbul.
Executive Director of Everest and Edmonton, Jesse Martineau.
We have a great show tonight. Sam Alvey is going to be joining us right away when we come back from the break. He was just dropping his kids off from jiu-jitsu, which, hey, as we said before, put
What
your
else
kids
would
in
Sam be
jiu-jitsu.
doing? Yeah, what else would Sam be doing, right?
Yeah, what else would he be doing? He's got 5 kids like me. I know what it's like. We'll be right back, everybody. Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the Me.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich. To the far left of me, maybe somewhere on the screen.
Yeah, I got him in the wrong box right now, but we'll figure that out.
That's okay. Jesse Martineau and our special guest today, everybody, back by popular demand, the smiling one, Sam Alvey.
Sam.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you guys for having me back.
Hey,
Sam,
thanks for coming back. We appreciate it.
Why Tennessee, Sam? Why are you in Tennessee right now? People want to know.
Oh, it's the land of the free, real America, as I like to call it.
All right.
Beautiful. I got 5 acres. I got a pond. I got a house that's getting prettier as I renovate it. And I just love it out here.
Well,
So what brought you there? Like, what was the catch from California to Tennessee? And how far were you live in Tennessee to where you're originally from?
So I'm about a 10-hour drive from where I'm originally from in Wisconsin. It was a 22-hour drive from California.
Yeah.
Wow.
And California's the worst. I couldn't stand it.
Go ahead, Sam. Please.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I loved my team and my friends, and the life I created there was wonderful. But the state itself is terrible.
Tell us, Sam.
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I mean, they just kept voting themselves to higher taxes every chance. All right, just another penny here, just another nickel here, just another. It was crazy. The income tax was high. The property tax for the state wasn't that high, but every city added their own little
their own little cut on there.
Oh yeah, we're Canadian. We know what you're talking about, Sam. Trust me. Wow.
But yeah, so I fought here 5 or 6 years ago and just fell in love with it. I love music, and it's city music just about.
Yeah.
When I fought here, we got to see the city. The second time I fought here, I got to see the country, and I just said, "All right, I'm in." And so my wife and I have been planning to move here about 5 years, and we finally made the jump.
So you don't know anybody there? Like, you don't have friends there, or you don't have family members there? You don't have nothing like that?
We do now, no, but no, we didn't have it. So no, me and my family, we just packed up, drove out here, and we're all by our lonesome.
Now, are we going to see a Sam Alvey training center open soon in your city?
Soon, no. As long as I'm fighting, as long as I'm making my life fighting, I don't want to run a gym and train.
Until then, but that could be the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. I've been a coach since day one of my career, so it is definitely the route I'm going.
Oh, that's cool though. I do love that. I love that there's so much experience there that gets taught and passed on to another generation of MMA fighters.
Shoot, I was teaching people how to fight before I knew how to fight. And then, I mean, that is God's honest truth. I made it up, but people wanted me to make it up with them.
That's cool. What was it? What, did you just see something different than?
No, I didn't know what to do. I didn't mean to be a fighter. I never watched the UFC. I never trained taekwondo or boxing or anything. Wow. Somebody asked if I wanted to fight, and I said, yeah, okay. And I just kind of kept doing it. And eventually they said they'd pay me. I said, well, shoot, I should probably train. And just made it up. I mean, honest to goodness, it was Jackie Chan and Ninja Turtles were my inspiration behind everything. And that was kind of what I went with. That's why Mark could attest to it. That's why I have so many bad habits when I fight, like terrible habits. Nobody should have. But I have made them work for me. It's because the first 4 years of my career, I was teaching myself how to do it.
Wow.
But you always had, like, let's talk about this first. The reason why I wanted you on the show specifically for this week was because the amount of people, we don't bring guests back that often. Right. And we were really fanatical about that when we started the podcast. And I wanted to bring you back because I want to know, like, the first time we slow rolled everything and we're like, Sam, it's great to see you. Oh, well, fantastic. And all this other stuff. But what happened just recently was you and your beautiful wife were in the car and the UFC decided that they're going to let you fight out your contract. And when that came out, the amount of people on Twitter and Instagram and the rest of the places, see, I love you, Sam. I always have. And you know that because at a time I managed you, and at a time I convinced the UFC that you were a great person and that you would fit in perfect in the UFC, and that's what happened. Now, as time went on, your wife did great job of your career. You've been going on, but you're 0-7-1 in your last 8 fights, and the UFC says, and I agree, there was a few shaky calls, like probably 3 were a little bit offside, in my opinion. So that record could easily be 3-1. You know what I mean? So it could have been. But Sam, you are still in the UFC, and people are, like, a lot of people are mad. And please explain to me what you believe, why you're still in the UFC on the Me and Jesse podcast. People want to know.
Yeah, well, listen, I am a nice guy, I am. And nice guys don't always finish last. As I was talking to Mick Maynard, the matchmaker for my weight class in the UFC, he was explaining. I mean, he said people in this business are not happy for whatever reason.
Yeah.
The fight week, after fight week, they're always angry. They're always mad. They're always hard on the staff. Sam, you have never been that. He said, when you were on cards, he said, we have people that ask to work those cards because of it. People like working with you. And then he also said, hey, and there have been a couple, 3 or 4, he said, fights that you should have won. They said, we had you winning, and, the judges did what they did. And he said there were the 2 fights that were stopped significantly early, where I was on the bad end of it. He said, there are reasons. He said, a loss. But he said, outside of the losses that could have been wins, he said, you're just the kind of fighter we like having represent us. And even the fights you lose, you kick ass at them. He said, the fights you lose have been enjoyable to watch. He said, between all that, you have 1 fight on your contract yet. And they wanted to give me the opportunity to fight it out, which I feel incredibly blessed with, because they don't usually do that.
Now, Sam, what happens if this happens? Now, this is the master of my mind thinking.
Yeah.
Sam Alvey goes into the last fight of his contract and lambastes the guy he's fighting, knocks his head into the 3rd row. It's a highlight reel, wins another $50,000 for a bonus. What happens now?
He got me. I honestly, deep down, I can't believe they're keeping me on. I'm very thankful they are, and I've been blessed that they are.
Sure. Yeah.
On paper, they should not.
Yeah.
But if I go out there and finally perform like I have almost been performing in my fights, maybe they offer me more. Maybe they try and get me on for another contract. Maybe they put me in a commentating booth to get me out of the ring. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they go, but I know the best way to find out where they're going to go is to win my next fight dominantly.
Yes.
Impressive.
Yeah. But Sam, what's the problem? There has to be a problem, because you can see your record. You went on runs of 4 fights in a row and 3 fights in a row and all this other thing. What's the problem? You have to know.
I think Muhammad Ali said it. Mike Tyson might have even said it better. He said, I have fought 80 times, or I'm real close to 80 times in my career. Everything I've done has been seen by everybody, but everybody I fight has been seen by nobody.
Yeah.
Very few people. My bad habits that nobody else does are now seen. They all see where I like to keep my back foot. They all see that the right hook is coming. They all see that I don't kick all that much, that my takedown defense is damn near impenetrable. They all see that. And I've had 23 fights in the UFC. I've had a lot of knockouts in the UFC, a lot of fight of the nights, a lot of stuff like that. But a lot of footage is out there on me.
That's a good point. That's a good point. There, you don't need to look far to do homework.
No.
Right. I'm there. And the other thing that is the case, of my last 7 fights, I haven't fought anyone that was the guy I was supposed to fight.
Yeah.
It was, and that was another thing that got brought up. This last one, it was like 4 days notice. This last fight against Brendan Allen, he was the 3rd opponent I had. I was training for Ian Heinisch, and I was training for Phil Hawes. And 3 days or 4 days before the fight, I got Brendan Allen.
Yeah.
Before that, it was I was on my way to the airport to fight some Russian guy, and they called, hey, don't go to the airport, he's out. And so I got Wellington Turman 3 weeks later. Before that, I was supposed to fight this guy. I was supposed to fight that.
What's going on with the training then for people that they're getting hurt so much these days that your opponents are changing to that level?
I don't know. I know one of the matchup. Oh, you know what? Wellington, he's apparently from overseas and couldn't get a visa to get in.
Okay.
Couldn't find out that. The first fight when I fought Ryan Spann, which I thought I won, I was supposed to fight Khalil Roundtree. Khalil was overseas. COVID had just been announced to the world, and Khalil couldn't get back into the States. So COVID had something to do with some of it. They finally, I was supposed to, the Daun Young fight when I was fighting overseas, he was even brought in. I had a little more notice, but he wasn't the original guy I was supposed to fight. But they brought me to Fight Island to make sure that the fight went on. So there's a lot of behind the scenes things. I'm not sure what happened to Ian. I'm not sure what happened to Phil, but I was ready for both of them before they pulled out.
So how can you shift your game then, or can you at this point to counter some of that?
I absolutely need to. One thing I have not done in my entire career is I don't wrestle, and I am a great wrestler. I have been Anderson and Jesse Taylor and Sokoju. My judo is top notch. My wrestling is damn near impenetrable. Joe Daddy Stevenson has been a jiu-jitsu coach of mine for the last 4 or 5 years. My ground game is as strong as anybody's, but that goes back to I have to kill the bad habit. At the beginning, when I started started training myself, you can't teach yourself jiu-jitsu. It just can't be done. And I was at the beginning of YouTube, so there might have been something out there that I could watch, but not really. And so I had to teach myself, all right, don't get taken down. Under no circumstances get taken down. And so that was my game plan for till like now is don't get taken down. Don't get taken down. That's why I keep my back foot on the fence too often. That's why I like this and that and do stuff just a little differently. So I have an entire ground game that has not been seen by the UFC, and I need it to be. I need to. People know I hit hard, so they stay away. They know where I keep my foot. They know all that stuff. They don't know how good a wrestler I am, and I can take down Olympians. It's been proven in the practice room 1,000 times.
But you never do it though. It's crazy. And I know you can do it too, but you're always looking to knock people out, right? So
is that your coaches, or is that you in the ring just saying no to yourself? Like, no, I'm not going to do that.
100% me in the ring. We drill it, we practice it, and I get out there. Screw it, I'm going to hit the guy. And I got to kill the instinct.
But you're you're a veteran. You said 80 fights, 20 plus in the UFC. You think that you'd be able to say no. What is it in your head that does it?
I don't know. I got to figure it out. I've tried the sports psychiatrist. I tried the what do you call it? The hypnosis stuff. None of it's done anything for me. So what I'm doing right now is I am not doing any stand-up. Everything I do is wrestling and jiu-jitsu. That's all I'm training.
Oh, right. that could help. Yeah.
I'm trying to kill my urge to punch people. In the practice room, I've told all of my coaches that I'm working with out here in California. Actually, Tom Galicchio is one of my coaches out here. He moved out to Tennessee.
Awesome.
He's a few hours away from me, but I go out and see him once a week, and I train some guys out there. I say, guys, just ride me. Every round I'm sparring, I want takedowns. Remind me, just yell it at me, get takedown. So every round, I don't care if he's a D1 wrestler, or if he's jiu-jitsu this, or whatever the ground game is. I am forcing the takedowns right now.
Takedowns score big.
Yes, and I'm trying to kill the habit of where I keep my feet, of backing up, that short hook. Trying to kill the habit. Just hold on, little one. I'm talking. Trying to kill the habits that I've created.
Yeah. That's tough. That's super
but
tough.
I guess any habit that you've done for so long just gets harder and harder to stop. Really, doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not.
I have had so much success with my bad habits. I've UFC with my bad habits. The charming personality has helped too a little bit, I guess.
Well, that's actually an interesting point, because Mark talks about this a lot. And we talked, who was that a few weeks ago that we talked about? But just about some of the really negative talk coming from UFC fighters of late.
Well, yeah, but do you think, Sam, that trash talk has gone too far in the UFC? Because I think it has.
I don't think any of them are good at it.
I agree.
You get a Chael Sonnen who it was a work of art listening to him.
That's true. Very true.
Conor McGregor I didn't think that great at it, but he was consistent and he was right about everything.
Yeah.
He called, hey, shh, quiet. That he was able to predict the second he was going to knock out Jose Aldo. That he was able to do all of that for his entire career has really led to him being a guy who can get away with running his mouth like that.
Correct.
But what about now? Now nobody's good at it. But it's almost I think the McGregor Habib thing went very personal, and now since then it's been personal.
Yeah, but why do we got people talking about people's wives and kids?
That's what I mean.
I come from living across from Detroit my whole entire life. You could talk about anything you want, but do not talk about people's wives or kids, man. Like this is, and I know Dana sits there and he says, "Oh, what it is. He doesn't agree with it, but he doesn't do it." And it's like, man, I was okay with certain people, even Connor, until he started talking about Poirier's wife.
Yeah.
And then you know what? I don't want to do nothing with him ever. Like, I don't want to see his face on my Twitter feed. I don't want to see nothing. He's a write-off forever. Colby Covington, who is easily the most cringeworthy human being in the UFC. You know what? I gave him a pass. In fact, I didn't even mind him beating Mazadov. Not at all. It didn't bother me. I thought, Colby's good. But then he starts talking about Poirier's wife again, and his kid is Connor's kid, and this and that stuff. And I'm like, that's a foul ball, man. That's literally where I come from. I'm going to drive to your house with my mouthpiece, wait in front of your house with a lawn chair, and I'm going to kick the living shit out of you so you understand that kind of talk is not validated around me. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, I'm no tough guy, but I've knocked a few guys out back in the day for commenting about my current wife's backside. You know what I mean? And I didn't think that was appropriate, because I would never talk like that to anybody, regardless. Now, if we're getting ready for a fight, I can sell a fight that I'm fighting Sam Alvey. No problem. We can talk about all kinds of stuff between you and I. I don't like this about you, Sam. You don't like this about me. But your wife and kids should never come up. And it's to the point now where I think there needs to be some fighter guidelines that you can actually get fined now if you do talk like a moron and start actually talking about someone's wife.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. The problem is when they start doing it, they sell pay-per-views.
You think that's all they, but they're selling the pay-per-view regardless. This is stuff that comes out after. When Connor was talking about Poirier's wife was after the pay-per-view.
get a fourth fight. He got beat up twice.
Yeah.
A fourth fight.
Yeah, and then he's standing on the ground, and he literally has got his shin broken, and he's talking about the guy's wife, like, yo, your wife was DMing me and stuff. Like, come on, dude. Like, just stop. It looks so ghetto. You know what I mean? Like, it's like even boxing, who all of us, all MMA guys come from a university background. You would think, like, well, where did this come from? When did you guys become hood? You guys aren't hood. You guys didn't come from the hood. You guys are all graduating from university and have degrees and stuff, and you're talking like morons. And it's like, there has to be a fighter. There has to be, moving forward, some kind of fighter protocol. Because if you were in the NFL and did the same thing, you'd be fined huge.
No, that's true.
If you were in the NHL, you'd be fined huge. If you were in the NBA, you'd be fined huge. Listen, I love the UFC. I love what Dana's done, but there does have to become a line in the sand where, you know, Sam, imagine someone starts talking about your wife, your beautiful wife, and your kids, and they're not talking about it in a fun way. They're talking it in a very foul ball kind of way, man, and it's not cool.
No, it's everyone's got their line. You talk about my family, I'll fucking
exactly. Look,
Smilin Sam go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Sam,
selling a pay-per-view, I don't know if it's an excuse anymore.
You missed it, Jesse. You missed it. Sam Alvey doesn't use profanity very often.
No, he was serious there.
Okay, wait a second. Hold on a second here. We're not going any further. Do you see what I just proved? I even mentioned talking about his wife and kids, and the F-bomb came out of him because he was so upset, and he put that in his mind. I'm telling you, man, it's not cool, and it has to stop in MMA, and especially in UFC, immediately. You can't not do that, and I don't know why Dana just doesn't say, hey, guys, it's 10 grand. Every time you say something about someone's wife and someone's kids, you can call the guy an asshole. You can put him down as much as possible. Yeah. You can say whatever you want about him and his team, but you can't talk about his wife and kids. End of story.
I would be all for it. I think I would enjoy listening to the guys more. Like Colby, I love how cringeworthy he is.
That's what you watch.
So yeah, Luke Rockhold was kind of like that. Like,
yeah,
he was.
He was just terrible.
I didn't like that cringe though. I actually cringed when I listened to him.
Me too.
Triple C, he's the other one. I love listening to Triple C talk. It's you just like King crawl a little bit because it's that cringy. But yeah, you start bringing up the family members. It's not, and it's a line too far. I am not a fan of it. But it helps them mind maybe. I don't know. It's not in me. I couldn't do it. People have asked me, said, Sam, well, you should come out and, be a heel once. Just see what. I said, I don't think I've got it in me. I mean, it would have such a show for me to I would have to become the greatest actor in the world to be able to do it. The WWE.
It's too late. It's too late, Sam, because you've already had 80 fights, and you've always been Smilin Sam Alvey, and then all of a sudden, what happened? You bumped your head one more time, and all of a sudden, you become the heel?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, that's the WWE has always been a dream of mine. That's kind of what got me into fighting-ish, at least into exercising. And people say, "Oh, you should be a heel," and I said, "I don't know if I could do it. I would sure if it meant I got a job, but I don't know if I could do it." Last try, I think I'd be like Matt Riddle. I don't know if you watch WWE. Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle kind. Everybody will like see me flip and flop and get thrown around.
Yeah.
That's great. I like that. Well, I do think that we need personality in MMA.
Correct.
Because that does sell. Like, there's no question. And we have a lot of fighters on here that they've talked about that because they don't say much. They, I'll back it up in the ring, but they don't get the big show.
I've told all of my amateurs, all my young pros, that when you get that microphone after the cage, you can thank me backstage. Do not thank your team. You have 25 seconds to make somebody remember you. You say something, you do something to make somebody remember you. And remember, they will remember you. So don't say something you don't want them to.
Don't want them to remember.
That's true.
That's right.
But I don't get it. Like, when I owned the MFC for 16 years, there's no question, I was one of the top trash talkers on the planet at that time, right? And what's funny? I don't remember ever using profanity. Mm-hmm. I never ever talked about anybody's wife or kids. Mm-hmm. I never talked about anybody's religion. But when MMA Junkie, Ariel Hawani, all these other people called to interview, I would say, here, you want to talk to this fighter? No, we want to talk to you, Mark, because we know you're going to say something absolutely bizarre. And I was like, it wasn't talking about being bizarre. I was mad. I picked a character to be mad.
Mhm.
That was a character I created. The owner of the MFC was mad all the time. I was mad. I was like the little stepson that to the UFC, and I was mad, but I really wasn't mad, Sam.
Uh-huh.
But I was for that, and that's what people remembered. And then they met me in person. I'm like, oh, you're not mad? And I'm like, no, I'm not mad. Why would I be mad? You know, it's like, but
The different kind of mad. The Mad Hatter mad.
yeah, correct. And that was the trick. Hey, listen, you remember we had Tom Galecchio fight in the MFC, and the whole narrative was he had the hairiest back in the world, and that I would pay to have his back waxed before the MFC because I couldn't stand looking at his hairy back at the UFC. Jesse, true story. But what I'm saying is people picked up that narrative everywhere online. They were like, why would his hairy back bother you? You know, and
No.
so I was doing
Get on the news.
I was literally doing interviews about Tom Galecchio's back hair, like that, but giving people something to talk about, right?
Now you mentioned commentating. Like, I mean, I think it would be a great fit.
I think.
Do you like that kind of thing?
I would love to. However, I got a lot of kids, and anytime I'm overseas or over anywhere commentating, I'm leaving my wife home with 6 kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know how realistic that is. I like coaching. I like being the hands-on kind of guy. So I would always be open to it. For sure, I would try my hand at commentating. I think I'd have a lot of fun with it. I think I'd be one of the better ones out there. But as far as changing professions to do it, I think I'm too hands-on for that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, you coaching or training, you still have to go with the team, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, 6 in one, half a dozen in the other, man.
What's this Holly Holmes thing? What's this Holly Holmes thing I heard you talking about?
Yeah. So I just put out my own YouTube video this week. I'm starting to get into YouTube. I'm starting to do it every week.
Good.
Videos.
What's your YouTube handle? Sam?
Smilin Sam.
Perfect.
Smilin Sam.
My social media is Smilin Sam, SMILEN SAM, and that's across the board. And yeah, so this Holly Holmes, I think I was 4-1. I just lost a fight. My wife sent me to train at Albuquerque. So this was 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
Wow.
So she sent me out there for a month, and Holly Holmes beat the tar out of me. Know who she was? She's just a pretty little blonde girl. You know, I was way bigger then and all that. So I was going light, and she was not. It was 3 minute round, and she probably did. I mean, I guarantee she doesn't remember it. I was knowing. I was 4-0 Smilin Sam from Wisconsin, and she it was all I could do not to fall over in those 3 minutes. It was like at one point I decided I was going to cover my belly and let her go off on my head because my belly couldn't take it anymore.
Wow. She really does hit hard.
She beat the brakes off me. I wasn't, and she started on fire. And by the time I figured out it was a hard round, it was too late for me to do anything about it.
Wow.
So what's your YouTube channel? What are you going to do on there?
So I've got 80 fights myself. I've been fighting for 15 years. I fought in every country twice or more. Shoot, I've been in Canada now. 8 or 9 fights, I think. I fought for just about every major organization in the world. I could name the president of every organization I fought for. And so I'm going over fight stories, a lot of behind the scenes stuff people don't ever hear fighters talk about. The little interesting stuff that fighters get to do backstage, you know, just even opening the Venom kit, it's like Christmas. And it's fun to, every time we come, all my corners, we kind of go around and we take one piece out at a time and see what they're giving us this time. And, the shoes are different this time, or this, or the shirts are too small, or they spelled my coach's name wrong again. Just little stuff and some big stuff too, but a lot of little stuff that most fighters don't pay attention to. I've always paid attention to every fight I have. I'm one of the guys that I go, if I'm allowed to be at fight week the Sunday before, I'm going to be there the Saturday before, so I can experience the city a little more than everyone else. Where I fought in Mexico City during Dia dos Muertes, Day of the Dead.
Cinco de Mayo.
City during that, fighting Rashad Evans. I weighed in with a face mask of paint and the dead thing, and I've enjoyed every city I've been able to fight in. I've gotten to meet people from every different culture in this world, and I'm just spreading a little bit of my stories from behind the scenes into the YouTube world.
That's really cool. I like that. I think there needs to be more of that because, I'm a huge F1 Formula One racing fan, and they do that now where they're really good at the behind the scenes stuff and showing all the lifestyle and all the things they do. And I don't know why other sports haven't got that together yet.
They tried in NHL to do it a little bit, and they tried with the NFL. The NFL too. They tried to do it, but never like F1 did.
No.
I would imagine, if you ever talk to a lot of fighters are boring dudes. They know fighting, they're good at fighting, and that's kind of where their personality stops. It's fighting. As I always said, the Ultimate Fighter was really boring because you're stuck in a house with 15 other fighters and you're fighting.
Yeah.
And it gets old quick, and a lot of fighters kind of fall into that trap where they just know fighting. But you'll get some of the fighters that enjoy it more than most, like myself, who we take. I mean, every time I go anywhere, I really try and. I don't know when the next time I'm ever going to be in Australia or New Zealand or Mexico City or Canada or Poland or Trinidad. I was attacked by dolphins in Trinidad.
Wow.
Yeah, because I stayed an extra day to see. We went last time I was in Australia. We went and saw the penguins, which are the furthest south penguin there is, or something like that.
Wow.
So I'll have a little story about all of that. And I really enjoyed my journey in MMA and what it's gotten me to do. And I'm just going to share a lot of stories.
So you wouldn't change nothing if you were to do it over again?
I would have wrestled more.
You would have. You would have.
In college. I mean, and I did wrestle in college. I would have wrestled more in college.
You would have took it more serious.
Yes, I would have. At this point, I know the most important skill in MMA is wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm good
it's surpassed jiu-jitsu now, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I think by far.
Wow.
I get hit up on all my social media. TikTok, I'm huge. I love TikTok. The people ask constantly. I get it every day. Say, what should I do? What's the first thing I should? I said, wrestle. I said, wrestle. I mean, it is. You cannot compete if you're not good at wrestling at this point.
Wow.
And you look across the board who the champions are. I think it's everyone but Izzy is a wrestler.
Yeah.
And a wrestler will get Izzy at some point.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
Wrestling is that important in the sport. You get to decide if it's up or down. People hate training for wrestlers because that means you have to wrestle a lot for your camp.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
And it's just not polite. It's just right.
Yeah. What do you think the future of maybe the UFC, but let's get a little broader, MMA, where do you think where the future should go now? Because we kind of at a point where, there's a lot of guys at this one level, but we haven't really had the generational talents come in yet. Where do you think a future could go?
I think it's going to be freak athletes. I think they might even beat wrestlers eventually, which would be the Naganos and the John Joneses. Maybe the Usmans could be putting that. Guys that could have played football or hockey or soccer.
Anything, yeah.
Supposed to do MMA.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, imagine a LeBron James fighting, what is he, 6'14" or whatever he is? Yeah, just showing up into the ring with his gloves on. He could hit you from across the ring without taking a step forward, kind of guy. I think freak athletes are going to start taking over the sport a little bit. The wrestlers will always be able to hold their own, but the freak athletes with basic wrestling will be able to stop some of those guys with just sheer size and power.
If you were to like play any other sport and not be an MMA superstar, what would you have done? What sport? If you said, "Oh, I wanted to play any sport,"
does the WWE count?
Yeah, of course it does.
WWE, hands down.
Yeah.
I would almost, even being a UFC superstar, I think I would prefer to be a WWE superstar.
Wow.
I love that stuff. I've finally gotten to a place where I can watch it with my kids a little more, and I'm getting them into it, and I'm starting to pay attention to it again. And I just love that.
Could you make that step after MMA, or your body wouldn't be able to take it?
You know what? I'm willing to take whatever drugs I need to make my body take. Not an issue. I'm gonna be like Bane. Bane. Hit that thing in my chest. I'm gonna swell up to 6 times the size.
I love WWE. I always have. Yeah. So it is one of those things. And there was someone else that we just had on. I forget who it was now that really wanted to be in WWE as well. What's next for you, Sam? Like I mean, this obviously, to me, this next fight is critical in your career.
Yeah, no, despite whatever I do next.
Yeah.
Next fight will affect what happens next.
When is it? Do you know when it is at all?
No, I'm hoping the end of summer. I'm really spending time right now and just going back to jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and I'm not doing anything else with that. I'm trying to kill my habit of not jiu-jitsuing and wrestling.
And you're a counter puncher too, right? So you I know people won't consider you that because they don't even know what that means in MMA, but you are a counter puncher and you are a guy that like reacts off the other person throwing, and that's what you're great at. And you lots of times you actually lull them to sleep, right? So your style is a very like, oh, he looks like I can just rush in, and when they rush in, that's how guys have got knocked out. So and it's I used to call it the Uncle Frank at the wedding style, and Uncle Frank at the wedding would stand there and he'd have the lampshade on his head because he was so drunk, and all of a sudden he'd just throw out this crazy hook over the side and knock someone out at the wedding. And I said, that's Sam, man. Like it looks very deceiving. You look like you could just get in there and smash him. It doesn't work that way because he'd end up in your clinch all the time. Then they'd find out, oh, I don't want to be in the clinch with Sam because he actually knows how to fight in the clinch. So they would be like, wait a second. And then some of your fights, if you remember, guys were super scared to come in now because they're like, oh, we've learned that now. We've seen that. Because you got away with it in the MFC and you got away with it at the beginning of the UFC for a lot of fights. Yeah. And after time went on, I call it the Chuck Liddell syndrome. There was a time when Chuck was invincible. Nobody could beat Chuck Liddell. People thought Chuck is the man. He can't be beat by nobody. And then Rashad figured, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to step in. I'm not going to step out. I'm going to step all the way in and see what happens and jam him. And he knocked him out, right? He flatlined him. And then that just happened to Chuck one after another, just kept losing and losing and losing. And you're like, wow, what happened? Well, like you said earlier on the show, Sam, they figured it out. They had a ton of footage. There's too much tape on a guy, and it's like, oh my God, I know what to do with this guy. I'll stay outside, but then the second I can jump in on Chuck, I could crack him, and that's what happened. Then Chuck got knocked out multiple times in a row. You know what I mean? So, it's very similar to what's happened to you now. And Rashad, the same thing. Rashad was on, like, he was the man at one point, and then as time went on, same thing. They kind of figured out his MO, and then, that's what happened. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's true. And so I've got to reinvent some stuff. I know I can do it. I beat everyone in the practice room at wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I just got to get in the cage and get it done.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to reinvent right now is I'm spending no time in my striking classes. I'm doing everything jiu-jitsu and wrestling for the future.
Are you training in Tennessee right now? Like, who do you train with in Tennessee?
Guardian MMA. Yeah, I'm training with Guardian MMA. I was training with Nashville MMA, and they kicked me out.
Why? Now, so wait a second. On the show today, we have to get this clear now. You've been kicked out of Nashville MMA.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they didn't want me training at Team Quest still. They didn't want dual citizenship. So I was doing a good job. I was Nashville MMA and Dan Henderson's of Team Quest.
Yeah.
They're my gyms. They're who's helping me. And at the end, then they didn't say anything before camp. It was when camp was over. I came back and said, "Hey Sam, the higher ups of the gym have decided they don't want guys training it."
One of the downfalls of martial arts in general, when people are telling you where you can train and where you cannot train, and no disrespect to Nashville MMA, but that is the biggest problem in the world of martial arts now, where people are telling you as the individual, as the martial artist, you can't train there if you want to train there, and that is absolute bullshit. That has to stop immediately.
It caught me off guard because in California, you have your home gym, but you train everywhere. I mean,
yeah.
We got partners. And the size wise, you got to go. I'm a bigger dude. It's hard to find bigger dudes to spar with. Or sometimes it's the little dudes. They're hard to find little dudes to spar with. So you got to move around where you have it and you come back to your coaches. But they put their foot down and they were very nice about it. Nothing but respect for them. Maybe I'll get to go back and spar with them every now and then. They said they would like me to not come back.
Wow, Sam.
Someone said no to the smile. How is that even possible?
Who the hell runs Nashville MMA?
Actually, my brother is an owner of it, but doesn't do the day-to-day stuff.
Who is?
Michael Chandler, a UFC fought.
Michael, you mean Michael Chandler? Michael Chandler?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you serious?
No. I am sure he doesn't know. I'm sure of it.
Michael Chandler. Wait a second. I was starting to like Chandler too. I didn't like him, and then I was starting to like him when I saw him get his ass whooped on his last fight, and he took it like a champ. And I was like, I like Chandler now, you know. And then you tell me this today.
No,
Man.
He doesn't even work out there. He works out in Florida, but I believe he owns this gym, or at least partial owner of it. So he didn't make the call. I do plan on giving him a hard time next time I see him.
Yeah, 100% should.
We're going to give him a little hard time on Twitter.
Well, Sam, we thank you so much for spending so much time with us again, and awesome to have you back. Great to see your family there, and I have 5 kids of my own. I know what it's like. And what's up, big man? And then, hey, good luck in this next fight. Get that brain in there, man. Like
that's it. We're praying and hoping for you, Sammy.
Yeah.
I want, if it's your last fight in the UFC, I want you to go out in the best way
Blaze
possible.
of glory.
Blaze of glory, man.
That is the plan. You know, I've always said his plan is better than my plan.
Amen.
Hope line up this fight, but if they don't, I will land on my feet, and we'll figure out what's next for Smilin Sam after that.
That's it.
Well, thanks so much once again. Smilin Sam Alvey, everybody. Make sure you follow him on all social media and check out his new YouTube channel as well. I look forward to seeing more of those videos come up.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to making more of them.
All right, we'll talk again soon, man.
Thanks, Sammy.
All right. Guys, we'll talk again.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
Always awesome guest on the show, man. Always.
Oops, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
There, he's back. All right, Smilin Sam Alvey, thanks so much, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I knew it.
Get kicked out of his gym by Michael Chandler.
Michael Chandler. I just started liking that guy.
Well, now I don't.
No, we got to put Chandler on notice. I don't know what's going on with that, but you know, his gym in Nashville, Tennessee. Once again, this is a pandemic, because I'm telling you that if you're telling someone they can't train, they can train wherever
like
they want.
You think you're that great that, like, oh yeah, no, you can't train here.
Yeah,
like really, like come on.
There's not a gym in the world.
You have a mat on the ground.
Yeah, there's not a gym in the world, Jesse, that can do it all. I'm telling you right now,
No,
there's not.
no.
Even American top team, who people think that, well, they have a jiu-jitsu coach and they have a boxing coach and they have a kickboxing coach and they have whatever, but guys still need to spar other bodies.
Yeah, and there's something else that matters in sports still, and it's chemistry.
Yes,
And that you can't just hire.
Correct.
So if you have to go to multiple places to get that, then you do that.
Yes,
That's ludicrous. I don't understand that at all.
I totally agree.
Especially to that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to be nice and like promote your place for you.
Of course he will. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is.
Jeez, man, I don't get it.
What about? Let's listen. Thanks, Sam, for being on the show. We greatly appreciate it, and we will have you again sometime next year, 2023. And not sooner, though. Not sooner.
Although I would be interested if he knocks the next guy out.
Can you imagine if he knocks someone out and gets re-signed?
Let's do that. If he knocks someone out and he gets re-signed.
And at 1-7-1.
Gets re-signed.
When he's signed by the UFC, I'm bringing it back on the show the next day.
Absolutely. That has to happen.
Have to. That's crazy. That is so crazy.
What were you going to ask something there?
I was what?
You were going to ask me something.
No, I was going to ask you because I think our Raptors are going to look good this year. I just know that there's a lot of guys out right now.
Yeah.
And the chemistry's a little off balance. But I think I really like the team a lot.
No, I do too. I really do.
Yeah,
I think it's good. I hope it can stay together. I hope we can get that other piece.
One piece.
I still think it needs another piece.
Yeah, me too.
I really do.
Who? Lakers are suffering. Maybe Westbrook.
I don't want West. Too old. You need someone that can do this. We want someone. We have a young team, a good young team. Like Trent Jr. is coming into his own. Like, and Scotty Barnes is great.
He's only 23. Trent's only 23 years old.
I know he's young, dude.
That's crazy.
We got to steal on that.
Crazy.
I love Powell, but we got to steal on that deal. Like
steal, man.
And we signed him too. So hey,
that kid's a winner, man. I love that kid.
And
23.
It's great. Like I think that we just need that other piece, that guy that can take us to
I agree.
To the Final Four again.
Yes.
Well, and hockey's gearing up for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oilers still in trouble with no goalie.
They really are. And
I love the new coach. I love the new coach though. New coach is money. He's a young guy and he's a mover.
Every coach that they've brought in, if you go back and look, every coach that they brought in, that first 2 months has been fine.
Yeah.
It's been great, actually.
It's always like that's the honeymoon stage, right?
And then that ends very quickly. Yeah, and you can't fix the problem that they have by putting a coach in. What, he's just going to magically wave his wand and the goalies are going to get better? No.
Yeah, no.
The defense isn't going to play better. The team, like, you can put some systems in that your team defensively could get better, and that would absolutely help them.
Correct.
Eliminate some of those chances that other teams get. But still, I don't know. I don't know.
Are we hungover? Are we hungover from the Super Bowl still, or can we even talk about the NFL right now?
Well, hey, Calvin Ridley just got suspended for an entire season today for gambling on games, and he just left for mental health issues, and people are asking now, is it because he just lost $30,000 the game before? What happened?
Yeah.
Now there's a thing that says it was only one $1,500 bet, and that was it. And you're like, well, I don't know, man. I think that's the one he got caught for, maybe, but something else was going on, obviously. And you're hey, there's a big no in sports. Like, it ruins the.
Have you been watching the combine?
I've been watching highlights of the combine.
Okay,
Man.
I'm one of those weirdos that actually
I know
24/7 in the office, and I'm
Dude,
watching.
Some people are running fast this year.
Are you crazy? 360 pounds.
Dude,
lineman ran a 4.79. No,
dude,
let me explain to you what that is. That's mind-boggling. Like, that is disturbing, actually. Like,
it is. It's scary. It's actually scary.
That's not the word.
400 pounds of human flesh.
Running a 4.79. It's unbelievable. I saw it. I watched it, and then I was like, oh my God. Like, if he even stumbled and hit someone at that speed,
oh my gosh,
it'd kill you.
Dude, like, the amount of sub 4 like 7s, 4.6s, 4, like, we saw 4.3. Like, didn't someone break the record?
4.22.
4.22, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you see offensive linemen though running in the 4.7s, that's like someone ran a 5, right?
Yeah.
And that was like, and I was thinking to myself, offensive lineman, I'm like, that's really good, And then that was the worst time. A 5 was the worst time. Everybody's 5
Whatever
and under.
The announcer guy that runs it every year. What's the name again?
Oh yeah,
he does it in 5.4 or something.
yeah, something. I thought it was 6.4 or something.
Oh, maybe 6.4.
yeah. And Rich.
Rich. Yeah. NFL Network.
Yeah, and he does it for charity, and it's fantastic. And I always get a kick out of it because he wears his suit doing it.
It's hilarious. It is funny.
I won't miss that either.
No.
So he usually does it at the end of combine. I think I'll check though to see, but that's the ongoing thing in the NFL right now is the combine right now, because you watch it and you say to yourself, wow. Like, there's a kid from Michigan right now. They say he's going to be the number 1 pick, and they show him moving offensive linemen back, like in their stance, and then they tell you the size of the guy, and the guy's about a 280 in college, and then that transfers over to about 305 to 320 in the NFL, because that's everybody that's running an offensive line right now. You got to be 300 plus.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you got to be big.
And now we're talking about offensive lines more now than we were before, because we're starting to figure out the Tom Brady.
We know how big it is. Yeah.
Why are offensive linemen making so much money now? Because
I think that we've known for a long time. It's just not regular fans don't know.
Regular fans don't know, but we're even as like hardcore fans, we're starting to realize I don't even want to talk about your quarterback. I don't want to talk about your running backs. I don't want to talk about shit. I want to talk about the 5 guys that are going to go down on a 3-point stance. I want to know their size, their height. Also, too, this is one thing people don't understand is that when your line is 6'4" and your quarterback's 6'1", ask Russell Wilson what that means. He's now he has to look over, not just worry about the linemen that are putting their hands up. He's got to worry about his own line to throw over top of them.
Yeah.
Well, but Russell can shoot out of the pocket. He can run to the sides and throw better than anyone besides Mahomes. And you see that now, but you're starting to pay attention to what offensive linemen you need for your team, because 2 seconds, 2.3 seconds or 2.4 seconds to throw the ball, or 4.2 seconds to throw the ball is a big difference in the NFL. And that comes down to offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. It is absolutely critical. And, teams that go far have a great O-line.
Every time. Listen, can you predict now this early out for the Raiders? Because you were incorrect last year. You will not do
by
it,
one game.
Well, that was the game to make the playoffs or not, and we did.
Yes, I know.
So that's like saying in soccer. That's like saying in soccer when a team wins 1-0. Sometimes 1-0 really means 16.
I understand that, but hey, that was pretty good. I was one off.
But you get what I'm saying, right? Because in soccer, people go, "Oh, they only won 2-0." But that's
in reality, that was a weird year for that division.
It was a weird year for the team. But what I'm saying is, I love this new coach. And I love the new GM.
Oh, no, that was smart.
Any New England offshoots, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
McDaniel's great. He's going to be good.
I still say Bill Belichick is the best coach in the history of the NFL.
I agree.
Undisputed. So you can dissect it any way you want. You can say he's the worst interview on the planet. You can say whatever you want. He's the greatest coach. He is bigger than Landry. He's bigger than anybody.
Yeah.
Lombardi. Yes, Jesse. Thank you for saying it, because he is bigger and he's better. And you know what? I forgot to mention this. He's also Croatian. Just like me. Okay.
No, I do think it's going to see what happens in their offseason, because I mean, it looks like they're losing players and not being able to add anyone, so they're gonna have to see what happens there. But
you get him though, bro. He's already in the dark room where he probably lives, and I don't even know how he's married.
Well, I'm interested to see how many deals them in New England make.
Who?
Raiders in New England.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is, they're already saying but him.
You still got to remember that division's tough.
Yes,
and if Rodgers goes to Denver,
now we have another problem on our hands.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And so it
looks like he is going to go. He is going to go to Denver. It looks like.
You think so?
Oh, I hope
I heard
not.
I heard Tennessee's now in the big running.
I heard that too. So I'm okay if he goes to Tennessee, but I'm telling you, I could see Denver. Listen.
No, I think Denver makes sense.
Elway cannot afford another season like last year.
No.
Their coach is a buffoon. Their coach is an absolute buffoon.
And they do have good talent. They have a great running back, two good running backs, and they have great receivers.
Two.
Yeah, Javonte Williams is a beast. That guy's going to be unreal.
I totally agree. And you have a team like that, Elway has to pull the cord right now. If he doesn't, he's out of a job this year. So if he doesn't...
Well, he owns the team, doesn't he?
Well, I mean... But the board...
No, they're looking at... Actually, he doesn't really own it, no.
No, but the board of directors and everybody else is going to kick him to the curb. He will not be the coach of he will not be the GM of the Denver Broncos president after this year if he doesn't at least have 10 wins under his belt.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, right now we're waiting for that domino to fall, because I think you're going to see Russell Wilson decide after that, and then you're going to see...
Where's he going to go?
It's hard to say. Giants, Saints, or Seattle. But, I mean...
I say Saints. And
the Giants, the Giants...
He fits in there good. New Orleans? He does.
Sierra wants to go to New York, but they have no O-line. Their O-line sucks. So,
exactly.
Why would he do that to himself again? I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But I think there's dominoes. There's a third of this league. A third of the NFL are in quarterback need. Big need.
Crazy?
It's never happened like this before, and it is insane. And everyone's waiting. And all my fantasy leagues, I'm holding my guys, because I'm like, Carolina, there's big DJ Moore I have, and it's like I'm waiting to see what happens. Obviously Denver, Tennessee. There's Green Bay. It's going to matter for them if Rodgers doesn't come back. Oh my gosh,
Rodgers might stay. He might stay. He does this bullshit all the time. He's always playing the damsel in distress.
Yeah. He's a pretty girl who needs to be told he's pretty.
Greatest line of all.
Charles
Barkley had to say it out loud because Charles has the nutsack to say it. Just like Charles said that Michael Jordan is the cheapest guy on the planet. He doesn't tip. Tiger Woods is cheap. He doesn't tip. This is Charles Barkley. I am starting to become a huge Charles Barkley fan.
I've always loved Charles.
And I love what he said about Rodgers because it's true.
It's true.
It's very true.
Well, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much, Smilin Sam Alvey, for joining us once again. Happy birthday to my fourth born son, Josiah.
Hey.
Turns 11 today.
Josiah 11. I saw that. I couldn't even believe how big he is now.
He's gonna be a big boy. I tell you what,
Oof.
he's catching up to his brothers pretty quick. So
Wow.
he's gonna be one of the big ones. So anyway, happy birthday to him, and we'll keep you posted on Everest and Iceland because that's an incredible thing. But I want you to remember this, everyone. Sam Alvey said it best. Sometimes nice guys don't finish last. Do you remember him saying that?
I did.
I
But
thought
don't
I was going to get a reaction.
Nah, because it's very few and few between. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So that's
I know.
why. But listen, everybody, get to Crystal Glass for all your glass needs. CrystalGlass.ca or call 310 Glass, the best glass company in Canada. And
Until next time, everybody. That's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Marno. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse. Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.